Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir,
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Second hour, My Guys in the Desert from the oddstrader.com studio at South Point Casino. Oddstrader.com. Download the free Oddstrader app right now. Start winning with up to the second info that you need. Vinny Maiulo, Jonathan Von Tobel here with you. Jimmy Vaccaro is going to be here at the bottom of the hour. We can reminisce a little about a lot of people thought that the hot dog eating contest was actually happening this Friday. Jimmy posted, we put up the whole picture, and I got a lot of good luck, you can do it. And I was like, all right. It happened 4 years ago.
Jimmy did.
I appreciate it.
Jimmy he confused a lot of folks. That's right.
Yes.
But you would be better prepared this time around.
I mean, from a mental standpoint, yes. I do have I have a secret weapon in my mind.
You do? All right. So that one was, what was it?
It was a seven hot dogs in 11 minutes. I got to 4.5. It was always my tally, 4.5.
And our own Mitch Moss was
he was play-by-play.
He was the play-by-play.
So this isn't a slight at all. And like we were mentioned really quickly, the thing that got me was it was crazy, but they tasted different by the fourth one. It wasn't the same taste. I like these hot dogs; they're great, but the repetitive taste of it, it's crazy how much different mentally. And I got to talk to a couple of guys. Juan Rodriguez was actually one of the guys that finished in the Nathan's hot dog eating contest this weekend. Got to talk to him about it. The Gatorade, Crystal Light, all of that stuff. I guess that's why they use it.
Didn't you have water with you?
Yeah, the water, but the water doesn't break up the taste. You know what I need? You know what I needed? Like ketchup or something.
You needed a cold beer is what you needed.
That too.
I mean, come on.
That too.
That's what.
Really, I'm just more fascinated. I'm more fascinated by what the recovery process is like for a lot of these people.
Yeah. And Brent Musburger and I were actually in studio glancing over our shoulder.
Chris was too, yeah.
We were rooting hard for you, Jimmy.
That was it was our first year, right?
Yeah,
Within our first year?
I think that was our first summer. That is correct.
Yep. A lot of good things.
Well,
and then Greg Peterson tried to take my bit and get out of here.
No, you can't.
You can't do it.
No, that's
only one of us gets a poster.
That's your thing.
I still have that thing, by the way. I got to bring that in.
We have it in the back.
Yeah, I got one too. It's framed actually.
That's
one of my favorite members.
You haven't signed ours yet, but that's
let's wait till I get famous. How about that?
All right.
You
are famous.
Speaking of famous, I guess I don't have a transition. The Stanley Cup Finals. They could end, Vinny Maiulo. They could end today. So let's talk about this as the Tampa Bay Lightning are on the verge of putting the kibosh on this bad boy, up 3-0, and some pretty strong victories up to this point, especially this last one, a 6-3 win for Tampa Bay. And a very, very solid showing against Montreal. So there's a couple of things here. First off, let me ask you this, because we had this conversation, and the more I thought about this, it's funny how we talk about what's right and what's wrong from a market pricing standpoint, right? The Knights were well over, what was it, around $4 in their series against Montreal?
They were 5-4,
like $4.50.
And then they got, after game one, you could have taken up to some spots $7 on Montreal. So the Knights got up to, but again, there's a regional bias, right? With the Knights.
But so the point I wanted to make was, because I was talking about this before the series started with the local radio out here, which is, there's a hey, this price is too high, but then there's an overcorrection, and then you look at minus 280 on Tampa Bay. That's still way too high, right? I don't know. Minus 280 from 450 to 280. And then the Tampa Bay Lightning aren't $2 worse than the Vegas Golden Knights. And then you see something like this that transpires over the 3 games of this series, Vinny. There was a really big gap between these two clubs.
Well, there's no doubt. Listen, here's the difference with Tampa is, and there's something to be said about, being the defending Stanley Cup champs and having been there, and that's certainly worked to their advantage. This is they're a whole different animal than the Golden Knights. Why? First of all, their power play is much better. Now I realize that you've got to credit Montreal's penalty kill with how poorly the Knights' power play was. The other part is that even as good, if not, and we've seen better goaltending. Vasilevsky's been outstanding. But the reality is this: Tampa Bay is the most versatile team in the NHL. What do I mean by that? If you want to play up-tempo, they'll go up-tempo. We saw that in the last game. You want to have a grind-out, knockdown, drag-out, street fight, they'll do that too. So, and they roll out 4 lines. You could say, well, the Knights roll out 4 lines too. They didn't roll out 4 lines against Montreal, I can tell you that. So the thing about it is Tampa Bay is in a position to sweep this, and it's simply because they are the best and most complete team in the NHL.
Yes, they are. And we'll get to some of the numbers in a detailed look at some of these in terms of the series up to this point, because Montreal does have some things that have gone for them, that have gone somewhat well for them in this series, but failure to capitalize on a lot of these has led to the series deficit that they're in right now. All right, we'll get to that. We got a lot more to get to, too, in terms of Major League Baseball. It's My Guys in the Desert. Second hour here, My Guys in the Desert. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Jonathan Von Tobel, Vinny Maiulo alongside as well. Wrapping up what we're talking about here with the Stanley Cup Final, Vinny. So has there been any sort of change here in the market in terms of the prices that you have seen right here on the Tampa Bay Lightning? Because we're talking about $1.40 on the open for this game here today. We're upwards of $1.50, $1.60. Last time in Montreal, we were talking about in the last contest, and just a couple of days ago, $1.30 about the closing price tag. So we see this 20-30 cent bump, depending on where you look.
Well, in the game right now, there's two-way action. We opened the game 45, got as high as 55, and now we're back down to 50. So good balanced action there on the sides. The total's being bet over. We just went to $1.40.
I noticed that
on the over.
It hasn't really bumped off of the 5, and yet 2 of the 3 have gone over. And you see the adjustment of the juice at $1.30.
5 over 40 now. You may see a 5.5 by the time puck drops here for this game. You may see a pretty wide open game tonight, right? What do the Canadians have to lose? And like I said, I've said previously, if the Lightning, if you want to run with them, so to speak, they're fine with that too, right? Whatever style you want to go with. But it's you're going to have to lay 100-1 on Tampa at this point. So there's no looking back for this team.
No, there isn't. Man.
When they finish it, really.
Nope. And this is, I think, so there's a couple of numbers that I really like analytics a lot, and especially in sports, if you're not as well versed, it does give you still a picture of what has happened up to this point. And what has been really fascinating to me, Vinny, has been when you look at some of the numbers for what the Lightning have done, there's a couple of things that stick out, right? Because the Canadiens, for the most part, have really won the shot share, about 55.4% in terms of the Corsi for percentage of the shots that they have in comparison with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But if you move forward from there, the two things that really stick out to me, outside of the expected goals for and edge for the Lightning at 5.5 to about 5.3 to the Montreal Canadiens, the high danger chances. The high danger chances
That's the key.
Have been really, and it's not a massive edge, right? You got 24 high danger chances through 3 games for the Lightning, 19 for the Canadiens. But the difference is the Lightning have cashed in on 5 of those 24 high danger chances. None for the Montreal Canadiens. And that speaks to what Andrei Vasilevsky has been able to do. Like, the Lightning as a whole have been really good. You watch them skate. They are quick. They are pristine. The puck movement, they are absolutely great. They've dominated the offensive zone at times. But at the same time, when you're able to turn away as a goaltender 100% of the high-danger chances that the other team can generate, that makes a massive difference in a series like this.
Listen, there was a lot made about the depth of the goaltending for the Golden Knights, and rightfully so. They were outstanding during the course of the season. Price was outstanding too for the better part of the series. But at the end of the day, I think Vasilevsky, you know what? Respectfully, he got tired of hearing about everybody else. This guy he's the best goaltender in the NHL right now. I mean, you could say who won what awards and things like that. And congratulations to Marc-Andre Fleury on winning the top goaltending award for the year, and he deserved. But in the playoffs, JVT. There is something to be said about knowing what it takes to win the. Don't forget too what really has helped this Lightning team. They know the extremes of both sides, right? A couple of years back, they won the President's Trophy and they got swept in the first round. They didn't forget that. They built off of that and they won last. So they know what it's like to experience. Not only the high, but the low, and they realize that the high is much better. Now, so does everybody else. You can make a case for it, but not. Listen, they've done it, and they're not relinquishing that title anytime soon. I mean, they're going to come back to this. You're going to say after this series, what happens? I mean, there's going to be an expansion draft, and then a regular draft. There's going to be free agencies and things like that. This is a good, solid organization. But their goaltending has been outstanding. You can talk about. I think one of the most overrated statistics in hockey is shots on goal, because when you look at Golden Knights games, again, I bring them up because we talk about them they're here, but a lot is made about the Golden Knights, how they quote unquote dominate, shots on goal. Okay, that's great, but you know what? Shots on goal don't tell the whole story all the time.
It's where the shots are coming from.
It's and again, what are there rebounds? Is there high danger chances to your point, and who's finishing? And it can be very misleading. And it was certainly misleading for the Golden Knights, especially when it came when they came up against Montreal.
Yep. If you go back and again, like shot quality, things of that nature, right? A lot of the times with Vegas, at least, if you looked at some of their heat maps, it was a lot of shots from the blue line and the perimeter, right, and straight to the chest of the opposing goaltender. Exactly. You're generating a lot of danger if you're Tampa Bay. If they have been really good.
The difference too in this series is this. Okay, to your point, which is important, is that Price had a clear look at the majority of the shots that the Golden Knights took. There's a lot more traffic in front of him right now. I think Tampa Bay's been much busier in the crease than the Golden Knights, and they've reaped the rewards for that.
Let me ask you this last point on it. Vasilevsky, or does Kucherov have a shot at the Conn Smythe?
I'd actually give it to Vasilevsky.
Okay. The Stanley Cup final up to this point, and again, it's for the postseason, but Kucherov has been really solid throughout, right? 32 points in the postseason, 8 goals, 24 assists. But it's the balance of the value of Kucherov versus what you've been able to do as Vasilevsky.
Again, they've won close. They've won high-scoring games. They've won low-scoring games, and I think one of the reasons it starts in the pipes, and then it goes from there.
So with that, we have that up, and we'll see if the Montreal Canadiens can extend this out one more. I know Mitch was talking about this morning. I think was it the mayor or the governor of Tampa that was talking about the
mayor of Tampa?
Let's extend this out one more. Why don't you lose maybe on purpose? You can bring this back home.
Because they won it in the bubble last year, so let's try to win it at Amalie Arena in Game 5. I don't necessarily think that Tampa Bay is looking at it.
What's going on in the water over there? We're actually it's very well timed. We have the TVs on here. They just showed Tom Brady tossing the Lombardi Trophy.
Have you seen the billboards down there? Tampa Bay. Have you seen this?
Yeah. I hate it, but it's actually pretty good. It's not that bad. Your other team, your baseball team is the reigning AL.
That's right. They won the pennant. I know.
Man. What a life in Tampa Bay, huh?
That's right.
Well, that's actually a natural jumping off point because we did have posted up over the weekend the Circa decided to post high and lows in terms of alternate win totals in the National Football League. And I'm always intrigued by things like this, Vinny, because when you have certain opinions, and I'll throw out one specifically that I have about a team, alternate win totals like this give you an opportunity potentially to cash in on an angle or something that in terms of you handicap a certain team, maybe you can find a little bit more out of the right. So, for example, I think there is a potential for this season to get pretty ugly for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that health was somewhat of an issue. I don't really believe in the quarterback position at this point right now with Jalen Hurts. I think he showed there was something there, but it's more of a let's raise your floor as an offense with the rushing ability, but the ceiling is still pretty low in terms of what they're able to do with this offense. And I think if you look at this overall, I think the Washington football team is going to be pretty good, right?
Right.
You have even out the quarterback position. You have one of the best defenses in the NFL. You have the Dallas Cowboys, who I think the market, again, is still pretty high on for the most part, but better than the Philadelphia Eagles. And they're on par, essentially, with the New York Giants. If the quarterback position, if it does not go well for them, there's a potential for this thing, I think, about 6, 5, 4 wins or so. You can get them, by the way, in the range of like 17, 20 to 1 to have the worst record in the NFL. Might not be that bad, but regardless, 6 wins under plus at 175. There's different ways you can attack this with alternate win totals, something like this.
The worst record in the NFL? I think
a lot of people say the Lions, the Texans.
Texans but in terms of the to your point about the NFC East, right? I think the NFC East is a lot more wide open than many folks may think. And I know that we've got the Cowboys at the highest win total. We've actually got them at 9.5. They've got the most, I think, the most talent in the skill positions of all the skill positions, right? Safe to say. I would say that the Giants will be better. They'll have Saquon Barkley back. They should be better, and they address some things in the offseason. Washington's got the best defense in the division, clearly. And then the Eagles, the Eagles are rebuilding, right? They're retooling and doing a lot of things that they've got to get squared away, starting with the quarterback position. So I think, JVT, if you're looking at some of these and some of the alternate ones here, that you want to take a look at, I see they put up 10 under, minus just shy of 2 to 1. So, or if you like the over, just under 8 over is minus 280. When we've got, like I said, 9.5. So, the thing, if you're betting these, you want to look at what the consensus is. Okay, call it the general consensus of regular season wins. And I'm not saying you bet that and bet off of that, but you can certainly look at what's out there and compare those numbers and take those into consideration for both what is the general consensus and then how low is the low and the price attached to that low, how high is the high, obviously, and the corresponding price there as well.
And schedule evaluation, obviously, a very big part of it. And if you use it by what I think is the proper way to do it in terms of evaluating a strength of schedule based on the win totals that are set out there by sportsbooks, the Philadelphia Eagles do have one of the easier schedules on there in terms of projections by win totals set by odds makers like yourself. Yeah,
well, they've got one of the easier ones, but look, they've still got to win those games, and the other teams that are on there, they've got the Eagles on their schedule too, right? The other aspect too is that the NFC. Don't forget, everybody's got to remember too. 17 games this year, because there's still a few folks that are kind of forgetting about that. 17 games. The NFC has the added road game this year. Now, again, depending on, you want to evaluate that road schedule, JVT, because not all home field advantages are created equal. So to your point, who those teams are and the corresponding home field advantage, because fans are going to be back this year, right? I mean, obviously that's going to be a factor in some cases, not in all. So
those are up, again, over at Circa. For every single team, you can attack 3 different win totals, highs, lows, and the regular win total as well. But, for example, the Eagles, as we're discussing them, alternate win totals, the high, 8, shaded to the under at minus 285, 7. Essentially, no, not a pick, sorry, I'm blind. On 7, shaded to the under at minus 130, and a 6 shaded to the over at $2 at minus 200. And those are out there for every team up there at Circa.
And pay particular attention to how I'll call it the general consensus number is, right? So we have the Eagles. We use the Eagles at 6.5 over 30. They're up to 6.5 over 50. They're on the verge of going to 7. So you want to kind of, make sure you take that into consideration. You
guys have a threshold for each? Like if this reaches $1.55,
not necessarily.
We will go.
We'll see, JVT, what is there two-way overall? Has there been a move? Because some of these have moved one way early, and now they've moved another way. More recently. And by the way, steam picking up with these now. The college numbers, the college regular season wins. Here at South Point, we used conference wins, and then we had games of the year. They have actually had more action than the NFL regular season wins overall. But in the last couple of weeks, we're starting to see an uptick in NFL interest.
Hey, how about that? That's a natural jumping off point to note that we do have Week 1 lines up in certain jurisdictions for college football.
Yep, we're working.
Working on.
We're working. I've got the. We've got the sequence. We'll call it the rotation here, and Chris Andrews was chatting about it and getting it ready here. Now, a lot of these games are on our games of the year list, which we've had up for a couple of months now.
Yep.
But yeah, the college Week 1 starts August 28th.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's right around the corner,
bro.
Buddy.
Yeah,
and there's a lot.
7 weeks.
Look, so and one of the things I wanted to point out, and like you said, some of these tie into some of the games of the year that you guys had posted, right? For example, I've heard a lot about LSU, UCLA. Those are some of that. UCLA has 2 games, right? They have a Week 0 game against Hawaii, and then they have a Week 1 matchup against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You guys hung up the LSU number. UCLA, what'd you guys hang that at?
We
by the way?
used LSU 2.
Yep.
It is now up to 4.
And 4 here at the South Point. There are 5s out there in terms of LSU on the road against UCLA. Tigers seem to be one of the more popular selections. But, as these numbers have gone up in the global market, Vinny, and these are always something for the most part I think a lot of people should or like to pay attention to, because this is where you get the general sentiment of some of the sharper bettors, right? You can attest to this. It's not a guy who's coming in and going, all right, give me some money on even this close, the last week of August. There's not this is not meant to be insulting, Joe Schmo coming up and saying, Fresno State minus 27, a month and a half away from
Great point. I mean, there was a line. So, and I love what Chris did this year. He put it out there. On this day at this time, these regular games of the year are going to go up. And the folks that were waiting in line, 99.9% of them were not casual fans.
Right.
I mean, and these were pros who they did the same exercise. And what they did was they went in and they did the handicapping. And then they compared to what was posted here at South Point. Now, it was a lot of work. I'm glad we did it. In fact, Chris and I were talking about it last Friday. Glad that we did the exercises early to get a jump on power ratings. But let's remember this too, JVT. What's interesting is that there still are several players out there in the transfer portal. There are some pretty good players out there that have yet to commit to where they're going to go. I don't think they're going to make a huge amount of difference, but it'll certainly impact some depth of some schools, including some Power 5 programs, and mainly Power 5 programs. But to your point, when we did post these back in early May, the response was mainly by professional bettors across the board.
And to note for some, because like I mentioned, from Saturday, August 28th through the first week of college football, these are up at the global market. Some of the more notable moves, Hawaii at UCLA, Bruins open up 10.5, UCLA up to a 14-point favorite. Temple at Rutgers, a Rutgers team that has, I think, 21 guys coming back. Rutgers 11.5 up to 13. And I know there's a couple of guys like Brad Powers, who was on the network earlier this week, high on Rutgers and what they could potentially be. Michigan, 14.5 at the open against Western Michigan, up to 17. And a little support for Stanford. That's a neutral site game. K-State opens 2. That's a pick in the global market. Yeah, we're right around the corner, man. These games right around the corner. All right, we got plenty left to get to. Derek Hardy's going to be with us, an MLB fantasy and betting analyst, as we discuss some big picture stuff like what the hell is going on with the New York Yankees.
It's crazy how much we have to pay for outdated, impersonal healthcare, and even crazier that we all just accept it. It's time to face facts. Healthcare is backwards. Luckily, there's Forward, a new approach to primary care that's surprisingly personal and refreshingly straightforward. Forward never makes you feel like just another patient. Backed by top-rated doctors and the latest tech, Forward gives you access to personalized care whenever you need it. Using in-depth genetic analysis and real-time blood work, Forward's top-rated doctors provide you with in-depth insights to better understand your genetics, mental, and physical health. They then create custom, easy-to-understand plans to help guide you to achieving long-term health. With Forward, you get unlimited in-person visits with your doctor and access to care anytime via the Forward app, all for one flat monthly fee. It's time to stop accepting backwards healthcare and start moving your health forward. Visit GoForward.com today to learn more. That's GoForward.com.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is the only bed that effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. During our lowest prices of the season, the new Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 Smart Bed is only $899. Only for a limited time. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
Don't wait days for your winnings. Cash out instantly with BetRivers' new feature, Rush Pay. Get your cash when you want it at BetRivers Sportsbook, the industry leader with exclusive bets, daily specials, odds boosts, and the most in-play betting options out there. As always, get a $250 match bonus, fastest payouts, and only a one-time playthrough at BetRivers, your hometown sportsbook. Offer valid in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Virginia, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Available at PlaySugarHouse.com in New Jersey. Got to be 21. Gambling problem. Illinois, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, 1-800-GAMBLER. Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Colorado, 1-800-522-4700. Michigan, 1-800-270-7117. Virginia, 1-888-532-3500. Not valid in Iowa. Jonathan Von Tobel, Vinny Maiulo here. Derek Hardy is nice enough to give us some time. vsin.com/MLB. You can find all of Derek's work up there as well. Of course, MLB Daily Notes. Great preview for you as you get into the slate. So, Derek, first off, thank you very much for joining us here today. So I wanted to start with some big picture stuff, and then we'll get into some of the top games, especially the ones that are going to get started here relatively early. And this seems like a pretty loaded question, but I will ask it. The Yankees, what the hell?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, you keep expecting the Yankees to get better because they should be better than this. Like, they still project as one of, if not the best team in the American League, one of the best teams in baseball. I know my projection system, the BAT, has them, the second team in the American League besides the Astros. You look at Fangraphs, they have them above the Astros as the best team going forward. And so you just have to expect the positive regression to come at some point. It hasn't yet, but this is still a team with so much talent. They can't possibly not be good for much longer.
So when it comes to your projections, when you get something, an aberration like the mandate on the spider tack and all of these things, and then we see, since they started checking on June 15th, Garrett Cole's ERA is 4.63. How much does that alter projections like yours?
So eventually my projections are going to account for that fully. It's going to account for basically everything that you get from StatCast and PitchFX, movement and spin and velocity and tunneling and late break and all that sort of stuff. It's not in there yet. So it's not fully capturing what's going on with a guy like Garrett Cole. His spin rate is down. It's accounting for it a little bit, but at the same time, like, spin rate going down isn't all of a sudden going to make Garrett Cole, who was widely considered the second best pitcher in baseball, all of a sudden not a good pitcher. Like, it's very easy to want to look for a simple answer and to say, well, his ERA is up and it coincides with this crackdown on the sticky stuff, and his spin rate is down, so now he must be terrible. When more likely he's probably a little worse than he was before, and also getting a bunch of bad variants on top of it. And I think that's what we're seeing. So I'm not overly concerned about Cole. I don't think he's the second best pitcher in baseball anymore, but I still think he's a legitimate ace who's going to be a lot better going forward.
I think he's a dirty cheater, but I'm an Angels fan, so that's something else. So let me ask you this then: with your projections, as you sit there and you say, well, the numbers are relatively, like, you're expecting more here out of the Yankees. Would that then lead you to look at, we were talking about not overreacting, right? In baseball, it's a large sample size sport. Is there value in looking anywhere with the Yankees in the futures? 8-1 to win the division, in the range of, what are we talking, like 20-1 or so to win the championship? Or is there anything in some of those numbers that is worth looking at?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing working against the Yankees is time. Yeah. They're in a hole, so they're going to have to not only be better than everyone else, they're going to have to be better by a lot. They're going to have to dig themselves out of that hole. I do think the odds, you said 8-1 to win the division, I think those are probably pretty solid odds, but they are going to have to start picking it up soon. But I think they can, especially if they get Luis Severino back in later this month, maybe. Like, he's a legitimate ace. So I do think there's a lot of reasons for optimism with the Yankees.
Derek, I think
they got to get a move on.
Yeah, but they got to get a move on, and they got to get a move on, particularly within their division head-to-head. They haven't been able to beat the Red Sox one time this year, and, of course, the Red Sox are the complete opposite story. What do you like what you see with them? Because if the Yankees can't beat them, I'm not going to – listen, remember 1978 and about this time of year, the Yankees were double-digit games behind the Red Sox. But that team, I think, had a lot more fight to it. That Yankee team had a lot more bite. They had a lot more overall talent. I'm not so sure this one does.
Yeah. Again, I think the Yankees have it in them. And I'm skeptical about the Red Sox. I'm not a big believer here. Like, I certainly don't think that they're the best team in this division. I think they're third or fourth best, and they're getting a little bit of good variance here. I think it's as simple as that. Like, as much as we're trying to, like, make meaning out of these things now, we're almost at the All-Star break. We're halfway through the year. Like, this has to be who these teams are, right? but it doesn't necessarily have to be who these teams are. We were 60 games into 2020 last year, and the Marlins were a playoff.
Yep.
So weird things can happen over samples that look large, but really in the grand scheme of things aren't necessary.
Derek's gonna stick around with us for one more because these are really short. So Derek's gonna come back. We'll have a little bit more in on some of the afternoon games as well with Derek Carty. It's My Guys in the Desert. Missed out on any part of this show, any of your other favorite ones, check out our free sports betting podcast. Catch replays of all our shows, including Follow the Money, Numbers Game, My Guys, Lombardi Line, VSiN, Best Bets is the spot. Download Beating the Book with Gail Alexander, Market Insights, Josh Applebaum. Hey, Hardwood Handicappers, that's mine. Long Shots Gone Racing, Ron Fighter Racing Pod, all free, all available now at VSiN.com/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Time is fleeting, and Derek Carty is a very smart man that we want to pick his brain on a lot of things in Major League Baseball. So, Derek, again, thank you for sticking with us through the break. So let's go one more big topic thing. It kind of builds on what we were speaking on before we went to the break, which is the AL East as a whole. I would agree that the Red Sox, I'm not sure about the staying power there. I have a plus 275 ticket on the Rays that I made 2 months ago to win that thing. Looked good for a while, but they have started to fall apart. So where are you with the AL East? You mentioned that maybe the Red Sox are like the third best team in this division. So what is your pecking order here in this division?
I mean, honestly, I think for me, it's Yankees and Blue Jays real close 1-2, then the Rays, then the Red Sox. I know that's almost the exact opposite of the standings right now, but again, weird things happen in small sample sizes. That's kind of what the projections say, and I think you could probably flip 3 and 4, but I don't think the Red Sox are anywhere near the best team here. I really don't.
Yep. Well, and they got a big series. My Angels are red hot, just swept the Orioles, and see if they can maintain this against Shohei Ohtani and the Halos. So let's get to some of the games that we're going to see because we got some first pitches coming up in a couple of minutes. Actually, we've got one coming up in 5. So let's start there. Dodgers and Marlins, pretty good pitching matchup on the surface here. You have Walker Buehler on one end. Dodgers about $1.28 favorite. Looks like Mookie Betts isn't going to start here today. But I was bringing this up. I'd love to get your thoughts. Buehler, the strikeouts are down this year in comparison to the last 2 seasons. What's been the difference, and what do you see here with the Dodgers at about $1.30 favorite?
Yeah, Buehler, I think, is just a pitcher who was a little bit overrated. People thought he was like this extreme ace, and he's more like a low-end number 1. And we talked about Garrett Cole at the top of the show, and while we don't want to overreact to these spin rate changes, Walker Buehler's spin rate is way down lately. So, I don't think there's really a whole lot to bet on here in terms of, the money line, the over-under. Like, it all looks pretty fair. If I'm looking for a bet, maybe Adam Duvall's hits, I'd take the under on. Looks like there's some value on that. But otherwise, things look handicapped pretty well here.
About the Brewers and the Mets tonight. Mets are going to go, it looks like a bullpen pitcher tonight with McGill against Woodruff, who's having a terrific season. Of course, the Brewers, another good story. A lot of folks didn't anticipate them to be atop the Central Division, but they are right now. And the Mets trying to get healthy, particularly on the mound. Well, how do you see this one play out, Derek? And the Brewers, just about under a quarter, $1.24 favorite here in this game.
Yeah, it's another one that looks like it's handicapped pretty much perfectly. Brewers as a small favorite, Mets as a small underdog. McGill's actually a decent pitcher. I almost would have thought that there'd be value here because he's a decent pitcher. It's a decent matchup. But it looks about right. If I'm looking for a bet here, I think Brandon Woodruff strikeout prop 7.5. It looks like in most books right now. A little bit of juice on the under. I'd take the under on that. If it's me, the Mets are getting healthy. This is a better offense than they've been rolling out for most of this year.
Well, and to your point, because you brought this up a couple of times, right? Small sample sizes. Derek, like the Brewers are kind of a good example of that, right? Off to a really slow start at the beginning of the year, some pieces missing in the lineup, and then all of a sudden now we're talking about a team that is about 51 wins right now, pulling ahead of a Chicago team that at one point was the favorite to win this division and looked like they might run away with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was kind of a thing that I talked about a lot of times on this sort of show, where early in the year it's like, well, the Brewers project as the best offense, as the best team, like they project as the best team in the division, like they're not there yet, but they're going to be. And it's nice to have kind of seen that happen. So hopefully we see that with the Yankees too.
Yep. Well, speaking of those Cubs, let's talk about this because the Philadelphia Phillies and the Cubs will start a series, and a relatively big series for these teams. In Philly, it looked like maybe they had started to turn things around, but now 4.5 games back of those New York Metropolitans in the NL East. And we've mentioned the Cubs, the boomer bust factor of this lineup. They have now lost 9 consecutive games. How bad does this get for Chicago?
I mean, I think it could continue getting bad tonight. I see this as a coin flip game, which lends a lot of value onto the Phillies' money line here. The Phillies are an offense that I've kind of thought is underrated in general this year, and they're in a good spot tonight. They're in Wrigley tonight, and there's wind blowing out. And when wind is blowing out in Wrigley, it is a big deal. And they're facing Zach Davies, who is one of the lowest strikeout pitchers in baseball. And so I think there's a lot of potential here for the Phillies to make some contact off of Davies and for it to go flying. I think the Phillies are one of the better bets on the slate.
Derek, the Padres come home tonight after a road trip, and they're pretty big favorites tonight over the Nationals, who have yet to announce who they're going to go with, at least according to what we have right now. But the Padres, big favorites here, 2.5 to 1 favorite, 7.5 at home against the Nationals tonight. Nationals who coming off a weekend sweep at home at the hands of the Dodgers. What's your philosophy on a team coming home after a road trip, especially when they're this big a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's probably going to be Lester for the Nationals.
That's what I got in my head.
He just coming across. Yeah. Okay,
yeah. So again, it's going to depend on what the line is, but obviously San Diego should be a massive favorite here. I have them projected as a 69% chance to win. So, do the math when we get a line, I guess. But the Padres are obviously like the clear better offense, the clear better pitcher here, the clear better team.
Yeah, that puts you about like 225-ish on a 69% implied probability. We're talking about 250 today here for the San Diego Padres at home against the Washington Nationals. Hey, Derek, I appreciate some time, man. Let me ask you really quickly before we get you out of here. Dodgers and Padres. Dodgers on the verge of opening this thing up as they have won these games and now are healthy?
Yeah, as good as the Padres are, I think the Dodgers are clearly the better team. They're starting to get healthy. Bellinger's back now. Corey Seager should be back pretty soon. I think it is all Dodgers from here.
Yep. Derek Hardy again, VSiN.com.
Thanks, Derek.
You can find the work up there. Also, Derek Hardy up on Twitter, MLB fantasy betting analyst, and again, Twitter, social media, very good work. Derek, thank you for the time. I enjoy your work, so it's good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Interesting that we talked about in the first hour too. You don't want to overreact just yet with teams like the Yankees, and it's going to be interesting, JVT, to see how going into the All-Star break and then with the trade deadline how teams react. But I just don't know if the Yankees have the assets that it's going to cost them a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
If between cash and play, any talent they have. They want to get things back on track in this division. It's going to cost them, and it's going to cost them more because of the success, and particularly of the Red Sox.
Well, and so I think Derek brings up a great point, which is even over the course of the rest of the season, the Yankees could become exactly what his projections say. Mm-hmm. But you're running out of real estate at some point in terms of your slow start. So we will see. But I'm a sample size nerd as well, so I would agree with that. Pump the brakes. Baseball is a large sample size sport, so we can see a lot of different stuff coming into the second half. All right, the man, the myth, the legend has walked in. Jimmy Vaccaro is here. He will wrap it up with us next year on My Guys.
This episode is brought to you by the NBA. Witness mind-bending competition on the biggest stage between the best players in the world, a place where legends are made. It's impossible jumps that seem to freeze in midair, and spectacular steals that you didn't see coming. It's that one play that lasts seconds that you will talk about for the rest of your life. And let's face it, it's the unpredictability of it all, never knowing when the next big moment will happen. Huge wins and crushed dreams. It's the drama of it all. You just can't make this stuff up. That's the NBA. That's game. The NBA playoffs are happening right now. Don't miss all the action.
Introducing Mordeo, a new iHeartRadio fiction thriller podcast from the creative minds of Blumhouse and Crypt TV. 1 month after two brothers disappear in the Shenandoah forest, the lone survivor of the pair emerges, starving, disoriented, and traumatized.
I can hear it.
What are you talking about?
It's in my head. It whispers to me. It says I'm gonna die out here.
What happened out there in the woods? And what dark secrets still remain, threatening to create something unspeakable?
Look at this skull. No way this thing is a deer, though. Look at the size of the teeth. Predator for sure.
Beware. The monster you're running from might be yourself.
This is what I am. This is what I'll become.
Listen to Mordeo on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
My guys in the desert from the oddstrader.com studio at South Point, oddstrader.com. Download the free OddsTrader app right now. Start winning with up to the second info that you need. 66% of the guys in the desert here at the desk. Jimmy Vaccaro is here. Chris Andrews is the third. My math says that's 66%, 2 out of 3. What's up, man?
Everything is good. First of all, I found out we have a new producer.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, so what's his name?
Britton.
I know what his name is. Just checking
Oh,
out.
it tested me. Hi,
I just want to let you know, young man, I am an executive. So anything that I say, listen to him.
That's right. I'm on my way to run things here, Jimmy.
What
That's
a weekend. It was a good weekend. 4th of July, the hot dog eating contest, people came up, kept asking if there was going to be a rematch with some guy we know here on the panel. We said, we'll delay that until next year. But you know what, my friends, what a choppy, good weekend. In other words, wasn't no huge, big decisions. Everything was about the same. You got play on everything that you put up here. And I tell you what, this guy named Chris Andrews, he's pretty good with what he did with these futures. I'll tell you, when you're behind this counter and you had the futures up for 5 or 6 months at a time, you want to make some money, but you just don't want to get your ass in a trap either and blow up $150,000 on hockey future. But I just looked at the future book when I got back, and I think we make like $30,000 with Tampa Bay, which obviously they're going to win. The other side is obviously they have no chance to win it. And then the other thing with the
NBA Finals?
I mean, it was simply that good. The only big one, remember, we talked about for a few weeks was the Hawks. So when they got out of the way, I think anybody that wins like $30,000. So, the future book is something you really take care of anymore, as opposed to when we were young kids, Vincenz, we'd throw it up, but we'd throw it up in August, waiting for the season to start. Now these things are up 12 months at a time, so you have to keep alert on everything that's going on, especially with injuries and the way that things are going now.
Hey, you guys throw up Super Bowl futures the night of the Super Bowl.
Of the Super Bowl. And the other thing is drawing attention so far, and I'm not a Conor McGregor fan. I think that he doesn't conduct business the way it should be, but his kid draws money, and he draws people, and he draws the fight, which is Saturday coming up here. We opened him like $1.15 favorite. Now it's a little bit of a switch. The Poirier kid is like $1.15. So if we go back a month, I kept saying it's going to be a sluggish summer. But just the opposite, just enough to keep decisions fair, just enough to make some money, and just enough just to keep it rolling. As hell, we're only about 6 weeks away from training camp, aren't we?
That's right.
Jimmy. Oh, we were talking we were about 5 weeks away from the start of college football.
College football is going to start at the end of August 28th, and we were looking at the sheet back there earlier, Jimmy. Right, getting ready to put that week one set of numbers up. We already have the games of the year and the conference regular season win totals and everything. But what's nice, Jimmy, too, is that this is a summer where everything's been extended, and it's not just baseball on a daily basis. And let's remember this: tomorrow we got a Euro semifinal between Spain and Italy. By the way, the sound will be on that. Let's remember that. And then on Wednesday, the other semifinal between Denmark and England. These have been very well received too, Jimmy.
Unbelievable. Once again, I thought it'd be an afterthought, only because it's there. We do this, the soccer, the World Cup, and all the other kind of stuff. It actually does. What it does, once again, I'm trying to be from the business side of it, is simply in the afternoon, it brings people in, and then when you get people in, they figure to do something else. And before we forget, I got to say this because we're talking about, and I think Vincenzo is on my side with this one. College football is the nuts. College football draws as much as the NFL, and a lot of times outdraws the NFL. So college football, to me, I can watch college football without needing somebody. I can't do that with any other sport.
Jimmy T, just to amplify Jimmy's point, there was a time when we got into this business, and Jimmy got in 1975, I got here in 1977, 78. The thing about it is NFL was 4 or 5 times what college was. And again, let's remember this, in a state where we do about $5 billion a year, football is half of it. Well, now college and pro, they're about equal to each other. That's how much more popular college football has become. Not that the NFL has decreased in popularity. It's just been that much of a jump for college football during the recent years.
Well, I would just assume that because, look, Chris Andrews does a great job with everything, but Chris is so well known for his offerings for college football. I would assume that helps you guys with that as well, right?
Absolutely. And no matter what, you go back and you look at the gaming results from they'll send it out after Super Bowl Sunday. You'd be amazed when you see the college numbers compared to the NFL numbers. Put it this way. First of all, football in general has never, ever had a year where the handle went this way as opposed to this way. It gains between 3 and 4% a year, but it never, ever goes backwards, which shows you the general public is falling in love. And, let's call it like it is, too. You can, at times, see matchups, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, whatever. In the pros, it's the same teams because there's only 32 of them. Right. With 150 to pick from, you can get teams that haven't played each other for 10, 15, 20 years who are monster rivals. So I love the college football season.
Alabama, Miami, right?
Oh, there you go.
Beginning of the year. You're going to see that. I'm sure that'll be a massive handle.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, Alabama, by the way, has gotten support in every game so far. Because there was they're in about, I want to say about a half a dozen of the games of the year that we posted. They have gotten support in every game. Them, Georgia, Auburn's been faded. Betting against Auburn.
LSU?
LSU's gotten some support as well, but not as much as Alabama. LSU's gotten, well, we talked about that first game, right, where they moved, that game moved a couple of points already.
Let me ask you this, my friend. You obviously, when I listen to the NBA, you're off the shelf, kid. You know what the hell is going on with that. Have you always been an NBA fan, or you just start to go towards that way?
So I've always been an NBA fan, but selfishly, for a career, I saw a niche, and so I really dug it out. I think you talk to a lot of people, Jimmy. If you talk to them about one thing with the NBA regular season, that's impossible. They can't do it on a night-to-night basis. Matt Humans famously calls it nothing but aggravation, the NBA, right? And so I just kind of saw an opportunity, but I've always been an NBA fan. You guys, I think, will appreciate this. One of my best basketball memories, Game 7 of the Celtics-Lakers NBA Finals, Kobe Bryant, right? Listen to Game 7 on the radio in its entirety.
On the radio?
Yeah, on the radio. How about that, huh?
It's after your heart right there, Jim.
Yeah. Right, so as it went along, really appreciate. You got to like something if you're going to listen to the whole thing on the radio.
That's right.
All right, kid, who's going to win this series?
Well, it's hard. Well, is Giannis playing? Because that's the tough part. But I
we
think
received the bets. You bet them.
And the Suns. Suns are going to win in 6.
Okay.
6. Chris Paul's going to get the first one. I don't know if you saw it. It's hard to come back from an injury like that. His knee. It was like a bird knee. It bent backwards. It's not supposed to go in that direction.
And the game 5.5 to 6, now back to 5.5. But the total is the key, right? Yep. And the total continue. We opened the total here. It's up at 217 up to 218.5. I think it's safe to say it'll continue to bet the over. People love to bet they root for points. Give me the Bucks and over. Give me the Suns and over.
When you watch these things, and obviously watching it for so many years as I have, what has changed drastically naturally is you could be over 214. And you could be under like the 214 for your lungs. I mean, you're ready to go. They need 14 in the last 2.5 minutes. They scored 21 in the last 2.5 minutes. The overs can drive you nuts anymore. Yeah. I mean, the unders can drive you nuts if you think that you got a lock. Even needing a whole bunch with a couple minutes to go, you see what happens.
Yep. Hey, so Vinny mentioned this. Let's ask you this before you get out of here. The Olympics are on the way.
Cool.
So what are the plans here at the South Point? Because you guys are going to offer a couple of things, right?
I'm sure that we'll be ready to do whatever it takes, whatever we're allowed to do. And you know what? It'll be fair to good. Yeah. It won't be bad.
The fact that it's going to be on TV, JVT, that's always going to add to it. Getting back to the college, that's really what's helped the college so much too. That and the playoff, college playoff, which by the way, if they expand, will be even that much more popular. But the Olympics, the fact that it's again, and being a 24-hour book, so a 3-shift town with a 24-hour book is certainly going to add to the Olympic betting.
I'd assume it's the sport, right? Like if you guys are going to book Olympic basketball,
sure,
like that'll be the more popular one because I can look at that and go, hey, Kevin Durant is playing.
I got
a
27 the first game. What do you want to do with it?
I think they're playing are they playing the Czech Republic or they're playing France? I think they're playing France. France is good. Give me 27 with France.
Iran is the other one in there?
Yeah, Iran, and then I think the Czech Republic's their third game. So those are the group stages. Yeah. I'm getting ready, Jimmy. It's a big one. It's a big summer for basketball. Summer League's back this year, too, in Vegas.
Sure,
that's a big thing for our town. And I know things have changed, but it is a big fight week. Fight weeks aren't the same they used to be, but it is a big fight week, huh?
We'll take what they give us.
Yeah.
Well, anytime. And the fights, listen, the good thing is when the fights are here, we can always add at least 25% to the handle because, again, folks that are going to go are more inclined to have a ticket, not only an admission ticket, but a betting ticket.
Well, and that's what's interesting about this one is the Irish are nuts for Conor McGregor, and they usually come out in droves for these fights. Yeah. But given the restrictions, I wonder how much the handle will be hurt on a fight like this, given if anybody can come out as regularly as they would.
Yeah, don't sit in a bus with Conor McGregor next to you or outside the bus with a chair.
You might get a dolly through the windshield. The guys, I would agree with that.
I still think there'll be a response, JVT, because hopefully the international visitors can come, but if not, you know what? The domestic folks will still be here because, again, it's an event, and we've talked about this quite a bit. We're an event-driven city now, destination.
I can't wait for Luka to play the USA.
Yeah, they made it. They won yesterday.
Yes,
they made it in.
He did.
It's going to be great. See, you're into it, but Olympic basketball is going to be awesome. It's going to be good. Summer League, too. Put them up.
All right, kid.
All right, Jim. Good to see you.
All right, buddy.
Thank you very much. Again, Jimmy Vaccaro, you can find it up on Twitter. You can see the picture up there as well. The much more svelte Jonathan Von Tobel getting ready to down 7 hot dogs in 11 minutes about 4 years ago. What a time to be alive, huh, Vinny?
When are you going with Chestnut head-to-head?
Never. That was a very tough experience.
We'll make it. We'll give you 70 and a half.
70 and a half over the course of 48 hours, or what are we talking here? That's an impossible task. 60 hours, maybe I get 20.
Imagine.
Oh, I can't. Like I said, he had 50 in the first half. They're athletes, man. I'm telling you, it's incredible what they're able to do. He also holds, I think he holds 53 total records in terms of food.
53
different foods. Yeah.
Oh,
yep. The asparagus is one of them.
I'll put him up against Vaccaro's good.
Asparagus.
Oh, Jimmy, put him up against.
All right, for Vinny, myself, we appreciate it as always. Plenty of programming options for you available, VSiN.com and VSiN.com/podcast. We'll see you.
Order breakfast at the McDonald's drive-thru. Tell yourself you'll wait to eat it at work, but it smells way too good. So you eat it right there in the McDonald's parking lot meal. There's a meal for every morning at McDonald's.
Right now, get any size iced coffee for 99 cents until 11 a.m. and pair it with your favorite breakfast sandwich or one of our tasty bakery treats. Price and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Hey, it's Chuck Bryant from Movie Crush, and I want to let you know about a very special episode where I speak with TV legend Alan Ball on the 20th anniversary of his landmark HBO show, 6 Feet Under. We cover everything from the show's inception to its legendary final season and finale.
So many people have said that it was such a strong ending that's it's definitely very gratifying. A lot of other great shows have not been quite so lucky.
So head over to Movie Crush wherever you find your favorite shows and check out our 6 Feet Under 20th anniversary special with Alan Ball.